Perhaps there is no task more arduous than searching for water to quench an unbearable thirst amidst scorching heat. You too have likely found yourself in such a predicament at some point. While any creature can endure hunger for a considerable time, enduring thirst is an immensely difficult feat for any living being, as a parched throat renders the mind restless. Both humans and animals require water. While humans can easily satisfy their thirst, animals in the wild must confront grave risks to quench theirs. Observe in this video how this parched leopard has become desperate for a drink. Yet in these very waters, a fearsome predator, a crocodile, sits guarding its meal. This crocodile had recently preyed upon a deer that had come to drink, thus it is by no means hungry. Nevertheless, the crocodile regards the water as its own domain, and for this reason, it refuses to allow the poor leopard to take a sip. For the leopard, overcome with thirst, drinking water is now a highly perilous undertaking. Indeed, such risks occasionally prove fatal. This buffalo, in search of water, has strayed far from its herd. Compelled by thirst, it was forced to leave the safety of the group behind. And for hungry lions, a lone, isolated buffalo represents the most delectable of meals. To save its life from the lion's assault, the water appears to be the safest sanctuary available. Thus, the desperate buffalo sprints and plunges into the water. Since a buffalo is significantly larger than a lion, the lions cannot launch a truly ferocious attack once they enter the water. And so, the poor creature successfully makes its way into the water. Yet, even there, it finds no respite. An even greater danger awaits it beneath the surface: a crocodile. Upon spotting the buffalo, the crocodile swiftly launches its own attack. The buffalo is now utterly helpless, trapped between the crocodile in the water and the lions on the land. However, the buffalo knows full well that no matter how ferocious a predator a lion may be, a crocodile is a far more formidable adversary. A crocodile can weigh up to 1,000 kilograms and, within the aquatic realm, possesses the power to single-handedly bring down even a mighty buffalo. Although the buffalo managed to save itself from a crocodile attack with great difficulty and make it to dry land, sadly, a pride of lions had long been waiting with eager anticipation to welcome it. Nevertheless, in a desperate bid to save its life, the buffalo decided to confront the lions. African buffaloes are incredibly powerful creatures, capable of sending a lion to the afterlife with a single charge. However, it was impossible for a lone buffalo to fight against such a large number of lions. At that very moment, a remarkable event unfolded. The buffalo's herd, having searched for their missing companion, arrived at the scene. Now it was the lions' turn to flee for their lives. Indeed, unity is the true strength of buffaloes. They never abandon their companions. If one of their own falls into danger, the entire herd bands together to attack the enemy. As long as they remain united, a pride of lions dares not launch an attack. However, such unity is not found among all animals. Take this deer, for instance. Chased by hyenas, it plunged into the water and sought refuge atop a small mound rising from the surface. The hyenas ceased their pursuit, but to rejoin its herd, the deer would have to venture back into the water. Yet, entering the water now would be tantamount to inviting death. By this time, a crocodile lurking beneath the surface had already spotted its prey and was already making its way up the mound to kill it. The poor creature, acting without a second thought, leaped into the water and attempted to swim to the other side. What the unfortunate deer did not realize, however, was that a crocodile can move through the water at speeds of up to 30 kilometers per hour. A deer's swimming speed, in contrast, ranges between 6 and 7 kilometers per hour. You can easily compare the speeds of these two animals. In reality, the crocodile hadn't even reached its full speed when it caught up with the deer. In this video, you can also spot a hippopotamus in the water. A hippo is a 2-ton mobile killing machine. Its jaws are so massive that they could easily swallow an entire leopard whole. Even if the deer had somehow managed to survive the crocodile's attack, it would have found no safety, for the hippo would have surely torn it to shreds. The hippopotamus is a highly territorial and aggressive animal that cannot tolerate the intrusion of any other creature into its domain. Friends, it is not always the case that animals descend into rivers solely to drink water. Sometimes they must cross a river to reach their intended destination. During the monsoon season, when heavy rains cause water to accumulate in small pits and depressions, animals are spared the life-threatening risk of approaching crocodiles just to quench their thirst. However, difficulties arise during the summer months. Firstly, a water crisis ensues, and secondly, the surrounding vegetation withers away, compelling animals to migrate from one location to another. Wildebeests and zebras invariably roam in large herds. They deplete the grass in their immediate vicinity very quickly. Consequently, they are compelled to constantly move forward in search of fresh grazing grounds. However, rivers pose the greatest obstacle along their migratory path. Observe in this video. Having consumed all the grass on this side of the river, they must now cross over to the other bank. Yet, the river is already teeming with countless crocodiles and hippopotamuses lying in wait. The crocodiles deliberately refrain from approaching the banks. Having caught the scent of a meal, they wait patiently in the middle of the river, much like a parched bird waiting for rain. They know full well that sooner or later, the wildebeests will attempt to cross. This period of anticipation can last anywhere from a few hours to several weeks. Meanwhile, the food supply for the wildebeests and zebras begins to run out. After a prolonged wait, a single wildebeest finally summons the courage to step into the water, and the rest of the herd immediately begins to follow suit. Animals have this peculiar trait. They are initially hesitant to take the plunge, but the moment one individual demonstrates the courage to embark on the journey, the others instinctively follow its lead. After the long wait, the moment for the crocodiles to strike has finally arrived. Dozens of crocodiles lunge at the wildebeests, unleashing a bloody massacre. In their daring attempt to ford the river, dozens of wildebeests perish. Furthermore, in the chaotic rush to enter the water, many sustain injuries. The spectacle of the crocodile's feeding frenzy is both terrifying and heart-wrenching. At times, while attempting to capture these scenes on camera, wildlife photographers have been known to faint from the sheer intensity of the experience. Nick Brandt, a renowned wildlife photographer, recounted in an interview that during his first assignment photographing a herd of wildebeests crossing a river, he witnessed a crocodile attack firsthand. The scene was so visceral and harrowing that he was unable to sleep peacefully for several days afterwards. Whenever he closed his eyes, that terrifying image would vividly replay before his mind's eye. To truly grasp the extent of a crocodile's ruthlessness, you simply must watch this video. Here, a zookeeper tosses a piece of meat in front of a group of crocodiles. Upon receiving the food, one of them, in its excitement, begins gnawing on the leg of a fellow crocodile. The technique these crocodiles use to tear meat is truly bizarre. To rip meat from a victim's body, they spin their bodies rapidly. This maneuver is known as the death roll. Now observe these proboscis monkeys. These monkeys know that death awaits them in the river, yet they must cross it anyway, for on the other side lies an abundance of food essential for their survival. They have already exhausted all available food sources on this bank. Therefore, to survive, they have no choice but to make it to the other side. The younger members of the troop are terrified of taking such a risk. They do not want to cross the river. However, the alpha males lead the family unit. They must overcome their fear and boldly lead the way forward. Consequently, the leader is the first to leap into the treacherous, crocodile-infested river. The other family members follow suit. By now, the sound of the monkey splashing into the water has likely reached the ears of the crocodiles, as such sounds can carry up to 200 meters through the jungle. As the remaining members continue to jump in, the crocodiles lurking in the river begin to close in on them. Unfortunately, however, these monkeys are not only adept at leaping through the treetops, but also excellent swimmers. In fact, the sheer instinct for survival compelled them to master the art of swimming. Over time, these monkeys have acquired complete proficiency in the water. That is precisely why they are able to swim so swiftly across the river. Now, the remaining family members, including the young ones, still have to make the crossing. Indeed, they are the very last members of the family to attempt it. The mother clutches her infant tightly. She knows all too well that the moment they leap, they might be bidding a final farewell to this world. Yet, remaining on this bank would inevitably mean death by starvation. Thus, left with no other option, they are compelled